Hi guys, my name is Michael Bray, and this is my literature review on strength training and whether it can be applied to youth. The purpose of this review is to gain a better insight and understanding of the topic of strength training and its application for young people. What age group am I talking about? I'm referring to the prepubescent age groups from around 6 years of age upwards. The importance of this topic is that there is a common misconception that young people within this age group simply cannot perform strength training because it is dangerous and detrimental to their body's development. This is why I believe it is important to understand that these misconceptions and myths are simply not based on actual facts and the research, and why it is important to understand the literature behind this topic. So generally, why have I chosen this topic? Well, there are a few reasons why I understand that this topic is important to the general population. As many of us know, childhood obesity is a major problem not only in Australia, but throughout the world. Poor nutrition and lacking of exercise has caused young children's health to go down the drain. This makes this topic even more important, as a better understanding on the benefits of strength training for youth can lead to the development of healthier lifestyles and forming of exercise habits. As well as this, as a young person, I was introduced to strength training at a young age. Throughout my adolescence, I was told that if I continued to lift weights, I would stunt my growth and get injured. Whenever I approached people on this topic, they had no response. This misunderstanding of this topic by general population has caused many myths. Myths that strength training stunts growth, and simply that it just causes injury. This is why I believe it is important to review the facts before making claims, so that other young people aren't approached by this misconception. So, what does the literature say on age? Well, for a child to participate in strength training, they require physical, cognitive, and social maturity, as well as adequate balance and proprioception to follow directions before they can participate in strength training. In a study conducted by the NSCA, it was identified that children as young as 7 to 8 years were suitable to begin strength training, while the Australian Strength and Conditioning Position Stand proved that positive effects of strength training were shown in children as young as 5. Recent studies have shown to have beneficial effects that strength training with proper techniques and strict supervision can increase strength in pre-adolescence and adolescence, as well as added benefits of cardiovascular fitness, body composition, bone density, and mineral and mental health, just to name a few. Findings by McKelly demonstrated the effectiveness of strength training where 18 prepubescent children took part in a strength training program conducted 3 times per week over a 9-week period. The results? A 42% increase in overall strength, opposed to a 9% increase of the control group. From this, it was concluded that the attributes were a result of adaptations of muscle excitation and contraction, increased motor unit activation, and improved motor skill coordination. This means that majority of the benefits and strength gained were from not so much about the weights being lifted, but teaching these children how to contract their muscles and move properly. This becomes a very important issue, as over time we forget how to move correctly, with majority of human beings being incapable of performing everyday activities without pain. Teaching these children how to move correctly should transfer over into their future and lead less to the injuries. The risks of strength training, well, a potential problem that arose from the studies were the reports of growth plate injuries. Just like every population, there are recommendations that need to be followed when taking part in a strength training program, and majority of the reported injuries to epiphyseal plates were attributed to improper lifting techniques, lifting maximal amounts of weights, and no supervision to be present. This means that these myths and misconceptions that have been formed have simply been formed from studies that show injuries but do not take into account that it wasn't the actual strength training, but more just the improper considerations that weren't taken. As before, it was concluded that children as young as 5 can benefit from the effects of strength training. While physically, these children may be capable of taking on a strength program, but the reality is that the weights room is not a safe place. With so many machines and heavy equipment in one room, there is so much space for injuries to happen. The Australian Strength and Conditioning Association addressed that children between the ages of 5 to 12 will most likely see the weights room as a playroom, making it a very dangerous place. From this, studies addressed that majority of injuries reported were from dropping weights on toes and fingers and bad behaviour leading to accidents. So, in conclusion, we have one side where the studies prove that physically children are capable of performing strength training activities, and on the other side is that young people aren't socially and maturely ready to perform strength training. This takes into account that the consideration guidelines need to be followed to ensure safety in young people performing strength training. These include the proper coordination and teaching of technique, proper program design, making sure that young people aren't lifting maximal weights, ensuring a warm-up and a cool-down, and supervision and management of equipment, making sure that the young people aren't being inappropriate in the weights room. So, from that, we can conclude that the studies prove that young people physically can partake in strength training activities, although it's up to the trainer or the strength coach to assess whether that young person is maturely and socially ready to participate in strength training. I hope you've